Business 101 students, welcome back. We are starting week 7. It is October 4th, 2022, and we have 2 weeks left of the course. So let's just take a quick review of the things that we're working on this week. So hopefully you're keeping up with the homework and you are feeling fully engaged in the items that we're talking about in class. All right, I'm going to skip over to our week 7 items. So I do have week 7 and week 8. You can tell my voice is a little hoarse, so just bear with me. Items up. So right now I have, I know we've been working a little bit with that matrix, right? The marketing mix, right? And so our marketing mix are 4 P's: pricing, promotion, product, and placement. And I know the text talks about distribution versus placement. So this week, in week 7, we are looking at 13 and 14 from the text. And if you are, 13, if you are looking through the text, 13, and I am looking through the text as we speak, right? And this freezing morning, right? 45 degrees at the airport. All right, so 13 starts to talk about distribution and pricing. So distribution really is that placement item. The right product, right person, right place, and right price. And so when we think about the items that we purchase from a consumer standpoint, we know a lot of these things, right? We know it from the consumer side. And we know that things are, if they're priced in a certain way, right? We know things on sale, we like to purchase them. We have these pricing schemes that we, as individuals, as consumers, kind of fall into and make our buying habits come to fruition. And so when you take microeconomics, you do actually talk a lot about pricing and thresholds and when you talk about supply and demand, it all has to do with equilibrium pricing. Anyway, getting back to our class. So for this chapter, you're going to be looking at, it starts off talking about distribution, which is really that placement component of the 4 Ps. And figuring out, how do you, not only the process of getting items to, to the consumer, like how do you get them to the stores or, shipping is a huge component of how items are nowadays, right? Back in the day, you went to a store and you purchased an item. Now it's all about the shipping component of items. And Amazon Prime, that's how they made that big. If you purchase into this Prime, you get the special shipping in 2 days, right? You get spoiled when you have fast shipping, 1 day, 2 day shipping. When you buy from a regular retailer that it's 8 to 10 days, it seems like it takes forever, right? And so some of those, and even returns, any of you that use Amazon, you can return an item at a UPS store, right? This is all part of their placement. The returns is part of that whole distribution, right? And you can return it and the money's already back in your Amazon account that day. And they make it very simple. You get the product in 1 day and you can return it and get your money back in the same day. And so they've really dialed in this idea of distribution or placement as part of that. Shipping component is part of that. All right, so thinking about your customer, the role of distributors, that's what we're going to talk about in 13. And looking at different types of stores, right? There's all different types of stores, and we shop at, there's supermarkets, there are, malls were based on department stores and all different kinds of items. There's specialty shops, there's boutique shops, there's discount stores. So there's convenience stores, there's outlet stores, right? They all offer a different experience for a consumer. All right, so we will look at a few items about relating to supply chain, and a lot of you are seeing supply chain issues that we have, right? It's in the forefront right now with all of our, one item that is a component of a larger item is unavailable. Guess what happens? All of the larger items are unavailable now because of that supply chain issue. And so we, we're struggling not only here in the US, but around the world with supply chain issues, meaning if there is one component or one step of the overall process that is either unavailable or moving slowly, right? The whole thing is a ripple effect. So with some of the supply chain, some of you are probably thinking of some of the supply chain issues. I know I had to order some a uniform for one of my children. 6 weeks it was delayed because they have supply chain issues, and it's just a shirt with a number on it, right? Usually it takes like a week. 6 weeks out. So I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for that, but that is because of a supply chain issue. So that's 13. And then it talks about the distribution and the pricing and really kind of pulls in all of the 4 Ps together for you. And then in 14, we bump into something called management, motivation, and leadership. So this chapter kind of gives you that overall picture of how companies are run, right? So you have your management side, which talks about, organizations and how they're structured. You have how do you motivate employees, right? There's multiple ways and practices about motivation. And when you take principles of management, right, that is actually this chapter, 14. You take a whole course called Principles of Management, which some of you may have already taken, which, no, I don't think anyone in this class has taken. But each chapter in this text, in this Business 10, is really a whole course in and of itself. And so talking about how you motivate employees, and some of you that have employees that work under you already know that it's tricky, right? It can be very tricky. And then how, what type of leadership is involved. And again, when we're circling back around to your papers and you're thinking about the company that you're interested in, what type of leadership is driving that company? And so this chapter 14 will really help you put those final touches on your papers. All right, so that's 13 and 14. And so I do also have those PowerPoints up there for you to review. There is a homework assignment for each of those. They are 2 separate docs. You can combine them into one or attach them. Remember, send it to me via email by next Monday night, 11:59. Now, for this week, there's also a video on the SWOT analysis. SWOT's short for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so you could use something relating to a SWOT analysis in your paper if you'd like. So really there's internal and external components that are always putting pressure on an organization, right, or on a business. And so when we look at the strengths and the weaknesses, that's the S and the W, those are the internal. What are our strengths as a company, right? And then also what are our weaknesses? Sometimes larger companies, the weaknesses is their sheer size because it's harder to pivot when you have a very large company. But the strength might also be that the company is large, right? Because when you have a large company, you can absorb, one item that your company produces is for some reason not doing as well. The other part, the larger company, the other part of the company can absorb some of those losses. So strengths, also thinking about competition. That is now we're getting into the opportunities and threats, right? So those are external. So the S and the W in the SWOT analysis are the internal, the opportunities and the threats, those are the external. So what kind of things are out there for your company to grow? What kind of things are threats to your company? So some companies at their weekly meetings or their monthly meetings, and you may already have experienced this, they will do a SWOT analysis just to keep on their toes so they know what are we facing. Let's get all back on the same page. Okay, let's reiterate our strengths and weaknesses and see if we can maybe turn our weaknesses, like maybe get rid of a few of them, right? Or fix a few of those weaknesses somehow, bolster those weaknesses, and maybe we can build on our strengths, right? And so revisiting that each week or each month really is a helpful tool. And then the opportunities and threats, basically looking at new opportunities each week and getting on the same page with your whole team. And also seeing new threats out there. So companies that are successful, they really have this idea of a SWOT analysis kind of like dialed in. So this week you have you have a video, you have 2 chapters, and you have 2 homework components. Now, the other thing, I do have 8 up there as well if you are thinking about these next 2 weeks. So week 8, which is the end of our term, I have a video up there relating to human resources because we will not get to the human resources component of the text. There's no new text material in week 8. You have a discussion in week 8, which is really your PowerPoint and practicing your PowerPoint for your company. And you must also reply to 1. A sentence or 2 is fine. Just talking about if you like their PowerPoint, if you another student's PowerPoint, or if you enjoyed something about the company that they mentioned, whatever it might be. And so that is that discussion 4. That will complete your discussions. And that PowerPoint, again, it's more of an exercise that you'll be doing in your business classes here. They should all have some sort of project paper, and they will also have some sort of PowerPoint situation. And so whether you take them online or you take them in person, learning how to use those tools is really important. And so that's part of your education here as well. So that is for the next, and we'll also have the final exam, which I'll reveal next Tuesday. Let's see. So back to this week, the paper. So the paper, and I will move that from week 6 to week 7. And I am doing that right now as we speak. So if you have questions about the project, I put it there in week 7 again. Okay. So the project, remember, you are writing about your company, right? And you're expressing some of your business knowledge. So make sure that I have in there that you attempt those 5 sections. Again, this is a 2 to 3 page paper. The overall project is also that 3 to 5 slide PowerPoint that you will post in the discussion for other students to view. If you are having any difficulty with the PowerPoint, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Mary Howells in the library. She loves working with students on PowerPoints. She has, so she can help you there as well. Just make sure that you're not falling behind, because the end of the semester is the 17th, and I have to have all papers and items in, right? And grades, because we start then on the 20th, starts the next 8 weeks. So make sure that you're not falling behind. That last 8 weeks, that last week of the 8-week section, we don't really do any new material on purpose, right? Because it keeps you caught up then versus having any new material that last week. All right, so questions about visiting your company's website and looking at the investor side of things, questions about the last 2 chapters, 13 and 14, the last 2 homeworks, all of that stuff now is up for grabs. You can post in the discussion for if you would like, as soon as you have your PowerPoints done. If you want me to review your PowerPoint, please send it to me. I will absolutely do that. Or if you have a rough draft of your paper and you would like me to look at it, send it to me. Just make sure you put a note in the subject line, the class, and what you're doing, so it catches my attention. And so that is for this week. So hopefully you are enjoying the different videos that have been up. You're enjoying the discussions. Hopefully you enjoyed the discussion last week. I have yet to go through all of those. Some of those I've looked at the pick your favorite product. So that's kind of a fun exercise, but it also gets you thinking. So always you can reach out to me via email, crobertson@ec3pa.org, or shoot me a text, 814-490-6473. I will circle back around with you later in the week and make sure everything's going strong, but we are almost done. Very exciting, right? Have a good afternoon. And it looks like the sun's coming out, so enjoy the sunshine, even though it is a bit brisk. Oh, I see the temperature just went up 1 degree. Have a great morning.